morning. Would you all please rise and join us for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Have a roll call, please.
Mr. Burns?
Here.
Mr. Cook?
Here.
Mr. Adriano?
Here.
Mr. Griffin?
Here. What are you doing here? It's not your night. I thought you were the first meeting.
I was, but didn't we discuss it?
Yes, we
Well, we didn't expect you to change so fast.
Instant gratification.
Oh, okay. Well, why don't you gratify us some more by reading the public notice?
Notice of Town Board public hearing on the approval of a variance for subdivision of tax map number 34.5-5. Please take notice that by order of the Town Board of the Town of Patterson, New York, adopted on September 24, 2014, and pursuant to and in accordance with the applicable provisions of Section 64 of the State of New York Town Law and Section 138 of the Town of Patterson Town Code, a public hearing will be held by said Town Board at the Patterson Town Offices, 1142 Route 311, Patterson, New York, on October 22, 2014, at 7 p.m. in the evening of that day, or as soon thereafter as the matter can be heard, to consider the grant of a variance authorizing the subdivision of a parcel of land which is part of the proposed Mancini subdivision, currently pending review by the Patterson Planning Board, and which is identified on the Town of Patterson tax map as number 34-5-5, into two lots which by design exceed the 80,000 square feet maximum lot size permitted in the cluster overlay district. The Town Board will make every effort to assure that the hearing is accessible to persons with disabilities. Anyone requiring special assistance and/or reasonable accommodation should contact the Town Clerk. At said public hearing, all persons interested in the subject matter thereof shall have the opportunity to be heard. Copies of the variance application and documents submitted therewith are on file with and available for review at the office of the Patterson Town Clerk during regular business hours. Antoinette Kopek, Town Clerk. And Mike, as discussed with you briefly, I just wanted to make known to the board that our office has represented Bob Mancini, one of the principals of this development in the past. So other than the reading of the notice, we have to recuse ourselves.
You're done.
Okay, thanks.
I see Joe. You're here.
Good evening.
I assume you're representing Mr. Mancini?
Yes, and the property owner,
Could we have your name for the record, young man?
Joseph Bashinsky, Bibbo Associates.
Please. You can take the microphone out of the stand if you like. Might be easier.
The subject property, almost 100 acres, located on Bullet Hole and Ice Pond Road. This is the intersection of Bullet Hole, Ice Pond. So that's the northerly direction. The property was transferred to the land trust, and the transferor, Mancini, retained right to pursue subdivision of the property and create a building lot. And the building lot we'd like to create is this 5 plus a little bit acre parcel located between an existing lot here and one here. The land is in the open space overlay, so at 5 acres it is in excess of the 80,000 maximum. The land has quite a bit of slope to it. Our driveway comes down from Bullet Hole. We'll need some filling to create a driveway, a proper grade. We've shown an area for where a pool could be created, where stormwater infiltration will take place, and where the septic area for this lot would occur. And when you compile everything, we need a little bit more than 80,000 square feet. And the applicant's preference for the a lot is at this location, and we correspondingly are requesting your approval for the excess acreage.
You said the driveway's on Bullet Hole?
Yes.
The next lot, is that Henry Burdick's lot?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So can you point to the Ice Pond Road and Bullet Hole intersection?
Right there.
Okay. At one time, we were putting fill on an adjacent area, thinking that we might change that turn.
Yes.
And what is that where that's shown?
Yeah, the change
Would be on that
Occur
piece.
there.
Okay. Now I understand. I was trying to figure out exactly where that was. Okay. So this goes almost behind the Burdick property, in part.
It does. It does go behind.
Are
yes.
the adjacent properties that are, you have above, are those the three houses that are on Bullet Hole? Like there's three houses that are very similar that are,
That occurs here, here, and here.
okay, that's, okay. Thank you for orienting me to that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. If anyone has any questions or would like to make any comments, please come up to the microphone, give your name for the record, ask your question, make your comment. Got an engineer here, folks. Doesn't happen every day. He's got all the answers. No questions. Board members?
What's the nature of the variance they're seeking? In other words, are we just seeking an exception to requiring the 80,000?
Yes.
Okay. By how much are we off?
Well, 80's approaching 2 acres. We're 3 acres over the 2-acre limit.
I see. Okay.
Just in some respects counterintuitive, but it is the zoning. Are there anybody else? Judy?
Hi, Judy Terlizzi from the Putnam County Land Trust. I'm not sure that this was discussed at the planning board level. Mr. Mancini donated the property to the land trust, I believe it was 2012. It could have been 2013. Do you remember? No. And that time he reserved the right to purchase back 5 acres. But before he donated it to the land trust, he had given a conservation easement to Westchester County Land Trust. And that conservation easement had a building envelope of about 10 acres, which was located in the really precious part of the property. So when the transaction occurred, we advised him that he needed to talk to Westchester Land Trust because we couldn't give him the 5 acres if he still had a building lot over here. It was restricted by a conservation easement. Westchester agreed to grant or amend the conservation easement so that the building lot could be here, or the building envelope. We were very happy about that because this is really incredibly rich, and putting it on the edge makes it just much more acceptable to all of us.
So you're comfortable with this whole thing?
Yes,
Very
very
good.
much. Because it was reduced also to 5 acres instead of 10 acres.
Yeah, I believe we have a recommendation from the planning board to go forward with this. So apparently at some point it was discussed.
Yeah.
But, all right, well, I'm glad you're supportive of it. That makes our decision a little bit easier.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there no questions or no comments? Then can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and we have this on for approval for later. So, Joe, I'm sure we're probably going to vote in the affirmative. If you'd like to stick around, you're welcome. If you'd like to go home, we'll let you know if something changes between now and 45 minutes from now.
Okay, I'll choose the second option.
No, you can go home. You won't be voting on it tonight.
Well,
Are we just
we'll be doing something on this
designating the
tonight.
planning board as the lead agency?
They have to do seeker before the 14th.
Oh, right. Okay, well, then
Then we'll be back.
I don't see a problem with this.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you, Joe.
Okay, auditor the bills, please.
I'll make a motion that the town board approve abstract number 19, dated October 8th, 2014, in the amount of $42,939.37. So moved.
Second.
Have a roll call, please.
Mr. Burns?
Yes.
Mr. Cook?
Yes.
Mr. D'Adriano?
Yes.
Mr. Griffin?
Yes. Mr. Burns.
Alrighty, first item on my agenda is a resolution authorizing the sale of certain highway items that were put up for auction with Auctions International. We auctioned a loader, tire and rims, a couple LaserJet printers, and the resolution basically approves the sale of those items. So I would like to make a motion to approve the resolution for the sale of highway department auction items through Auctions International pursuant to the email from Margot Miller of October 22nd, 2014. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Second item, we have two resolutions as it relates to the highway salt and sand building. As you're aware, we're building a salt shed. We have at a cost of, I think, $370,000, of which we're going to receive a grant from DASNY for $150,000 for the project. Kudos again to Russ for, Russ is here, kudos again to Russ for obtaining that. These resolutions basically are basically just memorializing that we intend to proceed forward with the building of the shed, that we're accepting the grant from Disney and executing, or DASNY, and executing the appropriate documents. So I would ask to move the first resolution authorizing the construction of the salt shed as read. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Second resolution also relates to the salt shed. In order to build it, we have to have a negative secret determination, and it appears that has been done, that we have analyzed it and believe that there is no impact based on secret. So I would make a motion to approve the resolution, basically making a negative determination under secret for the construction of a aforesaid shed. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Good.
All right, next item, budget transfers. We have budget transfer number 34, which is between fund balance, designated capital projects, and some capital notes principal. We're paying off some items in the amount of $9,830.51. Budget transfer 35 is appropriated fund balance for the landfill to designated capital projects in the amount of $68,479. Budget transfer 36 is between contingent account and auditor contractual for $1,650. And budget transfer request 37 is between hospital and medical insurance and sanitation contractual for the amount of $8,000. So I would make a motion to approve those four budget transfers as I have just read. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Last item is fund transfers. This has to do with transfers of funds to capital fund from the Quail Ridge Road Fund. Essentially, there's two memorandums. We're moving $9,830.51 from Quail Ridge Improvement Fund to the Capital Fund to finalize the Quail Ridge Capital Project. All monies have been accounted for the bond have been issued. The following is the accounting of all the revenues and expenses. It was a serial bond for $88,000, so I'll make a motion to approve that request for funds transfers from the town controller as read. So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Second memo from Patricia Brooks, our controller. I think I said town planner, town controller, is also a funds transfer between special reserves for the landfill bond and payments and the 2015 budget. Please authorize a transfer of $68,479 from capital fund special reserves to the general fund. This would be to utilize a special reserve that was recorded in 1994. To this, my ability, I've tracked the reserves through the years and determined that monies are left from the landfill project. These reserves are accounted for in the town's financials as a landfill capital closure project, which currently has $83,718.94. Therefore, I request authorization of $68,479 to essentially close out that reserve fund and move it into general fund. So I make a motion to approve this second request from the controller as read. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
That is all. Thank you.
Okay. Pete, you want to go next?
Sure. First item on my agenda is the Fairfield Drive crosswalk. At the last meeting, I brought up that there were some concerns at the last neighborhood watch meeting for pedestrian safety on Fairfield Drive, right in the village there. And the county legislator, Ginny Nassarino, sent a letter to Mary Ellen Odell with our concerns, and Ginny Nassarino received a memo back from Mary Ellen and Commissioner Penna, and I'll just read it. In response to your memo dated September 29th, 2014, regarding the placement of a crosswalk at Fairfield Drive, New York State Vehicle and Traffic Law 1680 requires the new crosswalks be installed in accordance with the New York State Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, or the MUTCD. The MUTCD states that crosswalk lines should not be used indiscriminately. An engineering study should be performed before a marked crosswalk is installed at a location away from a traffic control signal or an approach controlled by a stop or yield sign. Therefore, we will perform an engineering study to determine if a crosswalk is justified, and if so, where it should be placed. I have asked our engineering division to place this project on their work schedule. So it looks like the county highway and facilities is going to look into this. They're going to have their engineers study this, and hopefully we'll have some kind of a resolution on the safety in that location.
Excellent. Very good.
Next item on my agenda is the bamboo law we've been discussing for a few meetings now. We do have it in a form of a law. I know the last time we left off, I think Sean, Mr. Rogan asked if we could contact other municipalities that have this law in effect and see how they are working with it. Did you?
Sure. Yeah, if I could comment on
Sure.
it, Pete. We did reach out. Emily Norton of our firm reached out to a couple of different municipalities. The model law that had been used initially in Mamaroneck, it turned out that had not been adopted. But we talked to in the town of Hempstead out in Long Island. Apparently, the sanitation commissioner handles various types of enforcement proceedings, and he gave us quite a little bit of insight into the enforcement aspects of the law. And the basic kind of the main thing that he emphasized to us was that he recommended against our law having provisions that I generally would call self-help for the town actually to take on the potential responsibility to remove bamboo. He noted that in addition to it being very difficult and also very expensive, that it also is very dangerous because they have spike-like protrusions that could present a problem. So with Rich's assistance, we have pared down the law to permit for enforcement and for the town to compel landowners to remove it, but we've taken out the sections dealing with the town being able to step in to do it itself so as to avoid the possibility of someone trying to compel the town to take on that responsibility. So we feel it's been improved quite a bit, and we, as recently as this afternoon, went through some further revisions, and that's what's before you for the public hearing.
Did he at all comment as to the success of any enforcement that he has attempted? I was just curious what the...
I'm not sure, Kev. Don't know. That was the extent of it that I'm aware of. So, but certainly our law would give the authority to the code enforcement officers to
do it,
to bring an action. Yep. Compel it, and also have all of the costs associated with it levied against the property, similar to what we recently experienced with removal of unsafe buildings. It tracks those provisions.
So who removes it out there? Do they have a company that comes in, or they refer the homeowner to?
I believe and I assume what they would do is they would compel the landowner to take the steps necessary to remove it, and if the landowner does not, then they bring a court proceeding to obtain an order to compel the landowner to do it, and then a private contractor would ultimately be hired by the landowner at the landowner's expense.
The only other thing I think Mr. Rogan brought up, and for his benefit, on the third page, the definition of the bamboo owner would be if the bamboo is on their property and they don't make note, or they don't notify the owner from adjoining property that it came onto. Once we put this law into effect, or if we put this law into effect, and they don't know we have this law, when do they become the owner of the bamboo?
Well, if first off, there'll be notice of the adoption of the law, and I believe, quite frankly, like with any law, it tends to be enforced when problems arise, and I just think in looking at it, I believe that it's safe to say that we're a little skeptical when it was first proposed, because we generally are a bit reluctant to have laws go into effect because of the restrictive nature of them oftentimes. But the more we looked into this, the more we recognized that this could be a very significant problem. Interestingly, one of the problems that bamboo could actually present is that they apparently are very effective in drying up wet areas and wetlands. There actually have been instances of them being used by developers to actually reduce wetland areas. So I think the benefits of the law outweigh the potential pitfalls to someone. If notice is published, then everyone is on notice that if there is bamboo either on their property, by their own acts, or by a neighbor's acts, then some steps should be taken. And as I believe the board has done in other cases, it might even be appropriate for something a little bit more than the mere publication of the law in the legal notices. Maybe a press release would be an appropriate thing to do, or make note on whatever cable is available. So, but I do think the problems are potentially significant, not just those that were experienced by the resident who spoke up for this a couple of meetings ago.
Yeah, I agree. I like it. I like the way the tweaks you made to it, and I think we should, I guess, push it to a public. I'd like to see it go to a public hearing.
I think you have a resolution to induce to.
I think
Do just that.
also, Pete, that obviously, one, we can put it on the website too. We could put a little notice in a couple of the papers here.
Yeah.
The Examiner and the Times, whatever it is there. One way to get the word out.
You don't think most of the people in town watch this?
My mom watches it.
I watched it.
My mom made me watch it.
So we have a resolution to do a
Yes.
motion to
Move the resolution
move
as
the
read.
resolution as read.
Second.
So move.
Yeah, it's for introduction and set the public hearing, so. Motion's been made and the resolution has been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Next item on my agenda is the neighborhood watch signs for Putnam Lake. At a couple of meetings, they talked about having some neighborhood watch signs around the lake. I think it would be a good deterrent. They have people who want to make donations to pay for the signs, so there's no issue with money, getting money to pay for these signs. One issue is it has to be delivered to a police department. A private citizen can't just order them and have them delivered to the house. So the sheriff's office said no problem, you can have them delivered there. The only issue is how do they receive those donations and pay for those signs?
All the signs are within the Putnam Lake Park District?
Yes.
They all are.
Well-
I would just say, I don't think we have to ask people for donations. Let it come out of that budget. And that's it. I mean, people paying their taxes.
How much are we talking as far as an expenditure?
A few $100s. There were actually people that were willing to step up and really wanted to make donations. Some local businesses wanted to donate money to purchase the signs.
I mean, it would seem to me then the way to do it would be, if they're going to do a donation, would be to have those private entities get together, purchase the signs, and then make them available through places like, Scotty's, Putnam Lake Market, and have some kind of sponsor that, this sign sponsored by, and give them a little credit for,
I'm not sure if you could do that. This is
if it's a private entity, I don't know why it's not.
No, but the neighborhood watch is a town
I guess that's what we have to define. Is it through,
town sanctioned.
I think it kind of started through the
Program.
Park Advisory Board, but is it a town?
But I mean, Neighborhood Watch is just a group of private individuals who agree to look out for one another in a neighborhood? I mean, would there really be implications for the town? We certainly got the ball rolling. You did.
Yeah, but I don't think we technically sponsor it, right?
Yeah.
On a town-sponsored program, but we did help get it rolling.
Right.
I just think that, for a couple $100, we don't have to ask the people, use the tax money and put them up.
I mean, the only reason I'm saying use the money is because, I mean, there's plenty of places to spend that money in the Putnam Lake
Yeah,
Park District
right.
budget, so if you have people who
Yeah,
are
and
willing to do it, but...
And they're the folks who want the signs.
I would lean towards the donation and promoting that if people are willing to donate. If private individuals are willing to donate it, I think that that's the way to go, because I really don't know if the neighborhood watch would be considered an appropriate park district expenditure.
Well, the only thing I would say is I don't have a problem with the donations to purchase the signs. I'm just not sure I'd want to start saying, sponsored by.
Ads. That's
I think that, the neighborhood watch signs are pretty standard sign. You start getting custom.
Oh, no, I wasn't thinking on the sign. I was thinking of picking it up, and there might be a note saying, if you want your neighborhood watch sign, pick it up, but have a note saying sponsored by or something, not on the sign, no.
Oh, okay. Well, then yeah, if you want, that way, if they want to coordinate it through the town, I think we could probably go ahead and purchase the signs and then figure out how to get them put up.
So we can receive the donations and
Yeah.
put in.
donations for...
Just bring them to Trish's office and tell her what they're for.
Put Kevin and Don in for $50.
I think it's good that they want to make, it's good that the businesses and residents want to take ownership of it and donate it. That's why I didn't really push the town purchasing them. I think it's their program, it's good that they want to do that.
Who's going to determine where these signs
Yeah,
go?
where and
I mean, you can't have, because Kevin donated $50 for a sign, that he says, well, I want it over here, when really...
No, actually, you might want to work with the sheriff's department on that, because they do have, there's officers that are involved, that are, deputies that do help organize and set up the watches. We did one on South Street years ago, and I know they worked with them to determine where the signs would be appropriate.
Yeah, we're working with Deputy Schmidt. He's the liaison.
That's where
I'm
direction
training him.
Are these just the signs that go in the neighborhood saying neighborhood watch in place, or are they
Yes.
the signs that you would go up to a door and see neighborhood, they have a sticker?
No,
that
this
says
is
neighborhood watch in
signs that
place?
say this is a neighborhood watch community.
This would be placed on...
not that Russ needs anything more to do, but I think it has to be coordinated with him also, because obviously maintenance issues.
Well, if they're going to be placed along his roads, and you're certainly going to have to involve them.
On existing signs?
At this point, I think the ones that we did on South Street were standalone. So, they're on other signs? With speed limit signs or something?
I don't recall, we just grabbed whatever signposts we had available and put them up.
Well, you want to be careful where you put them up, that you get the right heights and what, because you want people walking into these things.
There's a height requirement.
Okay.
So I'll let them know we have to work with that. They just can't just put them up on their own. We'll work with them.
They'll get done.
Yeah, before they put up, reach out to us. Obviously, before they go up, if you want us to take a look at any of the regs, we can do so to make sure it's being done properly. But I think first and foremost is Russ's considerations with block areas that he uses for plowing and the like.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Charles?
Okay. Next on the agenda is a request from a resident, Laura Marchese, to waive building permit fees related to some work in her home. We received a recommendation from Director of Code Enforcement, and his recommendation is that the board waives these fees to help out this family. So I'll make a motion that the town board approve waiving the fees with regard to the Marchese property as outlined in the October 21st memo from the Director of Code Enforcement. So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
next is, we have talked about a few meetings back about the New York State Electric and Gas Corporation looking for easements. You get onto the town property, which is the highway department, with regard to the installation and operation of the solar electric generating facility provided by BQ Energy. So this resolution calls for the town board to approve the easements, granting of these 2 easements, and authorizes the supervisor to execute said easements and all other documents necessary to give effect to this resolution. So I will make a motion that the town board approve this resolution as read concerning the solar lease agreement with Patterson Son NY LLC with regard to New York State Electric and Gas Corporation. So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Okay. The Mancini subdivision, with regard to the public hearing, what the town board needs to do is name the planning board as the lead agency for secret purposes with regard to that project. So I will make a resolution that the town board approves the naming of the planning board as lead agency for secret purposes with regard to the Mancini subdivision. So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Good. That's it?
That's it.
Okay, well, while we're on the subject of 2015 budget, there was a request made to invite the fire departments in to see if there was any questions or they wanted to discuss their budgets with the town board at all before we move final adoption. I see tonight we have Chief Spindorf from Patterson Fire Department and Rob Schultz, President of Putnam Lake Fire Department. So does anybody have any questions?
I do. Maybe we could start with Putnam Lake. This is,
Rob Schultz, President of Putnam Lake Firehouse.
and thank you for coming in tonight.
No problem, sir.
I just have about a half a dozen questions on the
Fire away.
categories, just to understand.
Fire away,
what-
sir.
Okay. With regard to EMS, you have the same paper I have?
Yes, I do have the
Okay.
same papers.
On the top there.
Yep.
The money that's budgeted, is that for training?
No, the money that's budgeted is for EMS equipment, supplies, bandages, collars, stuff like that, anything we use on an ambulance run that we can't replace at the hospital.
Okay, thank you. Next, with fire equipment?
Yes, sir.
Is that like for a new truck or?
No, no, sir. That's for gear, it's for hose, it's for anything we use on the fire ground, saws, anything that, you know, might need to be replaced.
Okay. Next one I have is debt services. Is that like
Debt
a
services
mortgage
is
on-
our mortgage. Anything else we have loans out on. We're actually financing a compressor system to refill our Scott bottles because the unit itself is about $55,000, and we didn't see coming to the town asking them for $55,000 to replace this system. So we're actually financing it, and we're going to be making payments over the next 3 years to get rid of it.
Okay. And coming down to training,
Yes,
is
sir.
that,
That's any class that's going to require us to either travel to a different town or to a different county, sometimes a different state.
but it's for fire personnel?
It's for fire personnel only, yes.
Okay.
Fire personnel, EMS personnel, if they want to go to, there's Vital Signs, which is a EMS conference, if they want to go to that. They teach many classes there.
Okay. The admin, what is, I mean,
Admin is just, you know, paying bills, stamps, any bank fees or anything like that.
okay.
Copy paper, you know, ink for the printer, ink for the copier.
And capital expenditures?
Capital expenditures, actually, talking with Mr. Griffin, we were talking about, that used to be a expenditure for vehicle replacement. And a lot of times what happens, or if something happens, let's say something on the truck breaks, and anytime you put fire equipment in front of anything, the price kind of doubles. So that's just in case we have a failure of our, hydraulic system, or a failure of any kind of major system that we use on the truck, like a pump or something along those lines, where it wouldn't be locked in so much as vehicle replacement. It could be, we can use that money to replace, repair any of the existing equipment.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
You're welcome, sir.
Uniforms, is that turnout gear?
Uniforms is, no, just the dress uniforms that we wear. Turnout gear is under fire medical equipment.
Oh, okay. Very good. Thank you, Rob.
You guys all set? Okay.
Yep, thank you.
Okay.
Good evening, Matt Spinder, Chief of Department, Patterson Fire Department, Number 1 Incorporated.
Hi. Thanks, Matt, for coming in. Do you have the same printout?
Yeah, the recap of expense elements, that's the
Right.
cover page, yep.
Okay. Okay, you have the turnout gear like they do at Putnam Lake, right?
Yes.
Okay, same.
That turnout gear line includes personal protective equipment, so it's the turnout gear itself, the coat, the pants, it's boots, helmets, gloves, hoods. And some of those need to be replaced throughout the year due to use. And unfortunately, the National Fire Protection Association has set a 10-year limit on the life expectancy of PPE. So we actually purchased a number of sets of bunker gear, helmets, boots, back in 2006 through 2004 through 2006 with federal grant money, and a lot of that stuff now is reaching, its useful life, end of useful life. So we're trying to budget rather than doing the entire, thing at one time, a little before, a little during, and
Okay. The line 11 air equipment, is that,
That is, well, obviously you see the budget there is broken out between administration, fire, and rescue, which is EMS. So there's a small amount for administrative equipment.
Can you wait,
which
just,
includes,
could you just wait like 2 minutes? Sure. Okay, thanks.
which includes administrative supplies. The lion's share of that number obviously is firematic equipment. And then there is some on the EMS side, which, as President Schultz alluded to, is supplies, EMS supplies, operational supplies, backboards, collars, bandages, that kind of thing.
okay, down, category 35, training and education, is that for fire and EMS or just fire person?
It's broken out separately, so the training and education line under fire is strictly for fire training, and then the other side is for EMS under rescue.
Rescue is the EMS?
Yeah, and that includes classes outside the area, outside the out of state, and it also includes training supplies. When we send people to EMT class, we purchase textbooks for them. Anybody that goes to Firefighter 1 class now is required to have a new textbook. We purchase that for them. That all comes out of that line.
Okay. Line 38 is social. Is this to entertain the supervisor and close friends and family?
That's the lion's share of that for social is for the installation dinner, the annual installation dinner to which you guys come. And then there is a smaller amount there on the fire and rescue sides for, I believe once a year, our department takes a turn hosting the Putnam County Fire Chiefs Association meeting, which is a monthly meeting. So that's money set aside for that.
Okay. And your mortgage relates to building, equipment, or?
The building.
Building.
Yeah, the building. The building and the pavilion.
Okay.
Purchase of that other parcel, I guess, years ago. I'm not exactly sure what all's still wrapped up in the mortgage.
If you, going down below where it says vehicle replacement fund?
Mm-hmm.
You plan on buying a truck, or what is?
We yeah,
Or
actually
you just
we do.
put the money in a fund and?
No, we have a schedule, and we try and keep depending on the type of vehicle, it's anywhere between 7 and 20-year replacement. So every year we set money aside for those various vehicles. We're actually in the process of convening an apparatus committee to purchase a new vehicle. We actually have a couple of vehicles that are behind schedule, and we're actually looking to pare down the fleet. We're going to try and combine at least 2 vehicles into one to reduce costs and the associated repair and insurance, all that kind of stuff with it. So.
Okay.
What are you trying to combine, a tanker and a pumper? Or?
Yeah, tanker and an engine at this point.
Okay. What's a cascade system?
Cascade system is a fill system for the Scott bottles. Again, as President Schultz spoke about, we have a compressor that basically filters the air and compresses it to 4,500 psi, and then that air is in turn stored in I believe there are six large 6,000 psi bottles. So when we come back from a fire, we'll take those cylinders and we can fill numerous cylinders off that system without having to run the compressor, because the compressor would take a long time to fill each one of those bottles individually. So the cascade system, basically you can fill a cylinder, 30-minute cylinder, in probably about 2-3 minutes. So.
And my last question, 100-year fund?
Yeah, we started to set money aside a number of years ago for the centennial, which will be in 2021. There's certainly some things planned. We're 7 years away, but I know there was some talk about parade, dinner, and some other things. I know the town or the fire department in Mayapack just celebrated their centennial this year,
Right.
and so that's what that's for.
Okay. That's my questions on the budget, and thank you.
Yep.
My question for both of you guys is, or statement, we haven't been getting the reports that we should be getting.
I did provide one for you for the second quarter.
Yeah.
I have the one for the third quarter,
Okay.
which I will. I have the numbers with me, and if you want them, I can tell
No,
them. Otherwise, I'll email them to you, like I did the last time, and you'll have the report for the third quarter.
Okay. And you good people, we haven't had any.
Charlie, wow. What
Let's see if the new system works.
I hear it, isn't it? Wasn't that there?
That might be our cue. We might be leaving.
Let me leave it, we would appreciate.
Well, if it hadn't been for the pushing
Matt's
for
the chief
the.
of Patterson Fire Department. I'm the president. The reports have nothing to do with me. But what I will do is I will talk to the chief, Jamie Gagliardo, and I'll light a fire under his, to get him to get those reports up to you.
Because now it's it's quarterly reports?
Right, yes.
So we need
We need 3
3/4.
reports, yeah. I will,
But I know we
Okay.
didn't provide you with the first quarter
Right.
report simply because when the contract went into effect in April, first quarter was done already. Never,
So you snuck out.
So
Are you still recording?
We're,
So he will go, yeah, we'll do
we
it.
started going forward.
how difficult it is?
It's not. If you want one, I can
Yeah.
certainly provide one.
yeah, it's not difficult. It goes into our computer, so it shouldn't be too much trouble for him to print it up and have it to you.
Okay.
I I don't want to say, give you a time frame, but he should have it fairly quickly.
Just tell me we need the first 3 quarters,
Yes, sir.
and Matt, if you could give us the first quarter and the third quarter, that would be great. All right?
I just have a couple of comments to add. First of all, I wanted to say thank you to both of you for coming. This was very helpful, I think, to all of us to hear. I also want to thank you for your service. I think we all appreciate the service that you both render the town. I know the Patterson Department was actually at my house this morning because my father fell out of bed and needed to be picked up. I think the troopers beat you there, but we appreciate you being in town. That being said, it's a challenge for us in terms of us doing our due diligence of just making sure that we're, looking critically at the budget and making sure that the budgets are, what you need, that you're getting what you need, but we're also being diligent with the taxpayers' money. And one of the things I think that might be helpful is if we started this process earlier, and maybe you could take back to your membership, for us, I think the Putnam Lake budget is about 5% of the town's budget, and I think Patterson's about 8%. So between the two of you, it's a 13% of our total budget for the town. But it's not like we can't really go over and like we would to the rec department or the library and audit their books. So I'm just thinking out loud that possibly if, maybe in June, if your membership could work with the controllers so we have a sense of, where are you at mid-year, what are your issues in terms of is the budget been appropriate for this year? Are you seeing issues come up? Are you seeing potential cost savings? I think that level of, having the controller come back to us and say, hey, I sat down with the department, this is what their needs are, I think this makes sense, gives us an added level of comfort, especially when we're trying to keep this in the 2%, tax cap. And, with the budget you have, if you're asking for 8% or 10%, increases, for us that means, we're counting pennies, on other places in the budget, and it would just be helpful. This process just today, explaining some of these things where I think we get the budget, we don't get it without an explanation.
Our budget is due September 1st.
Right.
If you would like, we can have our budget, we just go by your month.
Right. No,
I can't speak for Patterson, but what we do is we meet once the end of July and a couple more times in August to have the budget ready for September 1st.
Right.
Usually September
Right.
2nd, 3rd. But what if make a requirement that you want the budget in by August 1st or July 1st. We have no problem with putting our numbers together early. Mm-hmm. That's no problem, what we would require. That's up to you. We can start this process, middle of the year if necessary.
I'm just thinking it might be helpful if Trish was willing to, maybe sit down with you or someone within your membership who's going to start talking about the budget issues and maybe ask some questions, and that, we can feel there's a greater sense of transparency and we have a greater level of comfort when you come back and say, hey, I know you're trying to keep this under 2%, but we need a 12% increase, and here's why. That we're comfortable doing that, and we it's not like we're looking and we have no idea where this money is going. So that's just, if you can take that back to your membership. So,
absolutely.
Great. Thank you for coming.
I just have one thing.
Just to add another comment to that, I know since I've been involved in the budgeting process the last couple of years as a chief officer, and now for the last 2.5, 3 years as the chief of department, our budget increase every year that I've been involved with it, I believe, has been under 2%. And this year, I believe the increase is 3.5, a little over 3.5%. And if you back out the town mandated independent audit, it's back down to 1.97%.
It's not town mandated, New York State mandated.
Okay. I know.
We would like it, of course.
In the past, we've never had an audit. There's never been an audit requirement. That was something this year when we signed the new contract that you guys had asked for, and we said that we would be more than happy to to provide you guys with an audit. But certainly it comes with a cost, and it can't come out of the operational side of the budget at that amount. So.
It's just that when we were going through the agreement process, our crack legal team found that when we were asking about doing an audit, that there was a section in the New York State law, wherever, that required it, so.
Right. And certainly, I wouldn't argue that it's probably not a bad idea.
It's good for you.
Yeah, but But anyway, that's where that larger increase has come. Certainly, we live here, and, so we're taxpayers also, and we certainly empathize with, with the budget situation as it is, so. All right?
Thank you.
Can I just add something? Yes. I know you both, again, I want to echo Kevin's thankfulness to you guys. Your services are invaluable to the town. I know you're two separate fire districts. Have you ever looked into consolidating any services or equipment? I know you're both talking about cascade systems and compressors. I know they're very expensive. Do we need two of them in the town? Did you ever look into working together, sharing any kind of services or equipment?
I will say, when I first started here in the department, probably 12, 13 years ago, that if you the mere mention of the C word, consolidation, probably would have driven somebody out of the department. I think the atmosphere today is different. I know over the last couple of years, again, since I've been chief of department, Jamie Gagliard and I have worked closely on a number of different initiatives to try and get more cooperation and less duplication of effort. I think there's a lot more work that should be done. Unfortunately, my opinion of should there be more consolidation? Yeah, probably there should be, but I can't force it to happen. And I don't know. I certainly won't speak for Putnam Lake, but I think it's something that probably should be explored.
Is there anything the town can do to sit down, maybe help mediate or help look at stuff that maybe we can work together with?
I mean, I can't really speak to it right now. I mean, unless, the chief is here.
It's probably a discussion for another time, but I just
Right. I mean, they have equipment that we don't have. We have equipment they don't have. I mean, it's pretty much, that's how we work together.
In terms of two sets of administration, et cetera, I mean, the only, you might save a couple of bucks maybe on instead of doing two audits, do one audit, but there'll just be that much more work for one audit, so I'm not sure how much of a savings there'd be there. Everybody else is volunteers, so your treasurer doesn't get paid, your chief doesn't get paid, your president doesn't get paid. So if we had 3 presidents or 6 presidents or 1 president, there's no additional expense there. One thing I do think that Putnam Lake Fire Department understands Putnam Lake and the geographical area they work with, and Patterson the same. You understand your area, so to a certain extent, I think they're different. And having, you would need at least that many firehouses and that many. That much equipment, personnel, and everything else. But I do have to agree with Pete on, it's like some things cascades and looking at equipment purchases in terms of, like big ticket things so that we don't have a lot of duplication. But I would also like to say thank you because, I've taken advantage of your services many times and they've been outstanding. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.
Hi, Trish.
Hi, Patricia Brooks, Town Controller. I just wanted to clarify the audit requirement from the state. It's been since 2007. So, and both fire departments were notified, I believe in 2008 or 2009, of the requirement.
We're good.
Oh, run away. You stayed all this while, you might as well, we're talking about the final budget. We have some adopted budget changes here. We've moved money from the contingency account. Is that to compensate for Mr. Williams' request for additional compensation for his staff?
Correct.
And the state that the retirement stuff would reflect the increase in the salaries. So
Correct.
basically, we took 2158 from contingency and moved it over to essentially the planner's personal services line. And that's the only
Retirement.
change that's been made
The
from
only
the
change.
preliminary to the
There's
final.
no change to any taxes, there's no change to the fund balances, everything else is the same, the net is still 1.49% increase in taxes.
And thank you. I have to say, you've done a great job once again, and I'm very pleased to have you on the team, because it certainly makes our life a lot easier, knowing that we have very reliable information to work with and have it in very timely manner. Well, then at this point, I'm not going to bother to read this whole entire resolution, because basically it says there are no changes in it. The general fund was 3.9, it's still 3.918152000, and it goes all the way through, and there's a whole laundry list, so if anybody'd like a copy of it, you can have mine, and we can make more. But basically, as Trish said, we are under the tax cap again this year. We've stayed under the cap every year that it's been in place. It's always a challenge, but we have a great team. We have great town personnel. They've done a fantastic job. Russ, Rich, everybody, Trish, tax assessor, everybody. Well, the attorneys? No, they didn't save us.
I'm not pointing to the attorney.
Oh, no, we're getting to Sue. When we get to the drug and alcohol policy, she'll get her kudos. So, at this time, I'd like to move for adoption of the final budget for 2015. I'd move the resolution as read, so moved.
Second.
Have a roll call, please.
Mr. Burns?
Yes.
Mr. Cook?
Yes.
Mr. D'Adriano?
Yes.
Mr. Griffin?
Yes. I think this is an excellent budget. Thank you again, Trish. Okay, meeting schedule for 2015. Everybody take a look at it, please. If you have any questions or comments, get back to Sue, since she's the one who pretty much organized the whole thing. There was a discussion about possibility of eliminating a July meeting. I don't know if that's going anywhere or not, but summertime, we're usually beating the bushes for things to put on the agenda, so we can have a meeting. But if you want to think about that and get back to us, let us know. Controlled substance and alcohol testing policy. Sue Brown has, as our director of personnel, and pretty much everything else that needs to get done in terms of, she works for the insurance, she does chairs the safety committee, on and on and on. But she did bring to my attention and town board's attention that our controlled substances and alcohol testing policy was deficient. So to that end, she has worked with HR consultants to get us a brand new, I don't know, what's this, about 30 pages, 41 pages, 42 pages, 43 pages with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages of extra forms and stuff. So I would hope that everybody's had some time to read this. If you haven't, then we can hold it over for one more meeting. Sue, have you made all the changes that you wanted in here, that you straightened Jeff out on that he didn't know about? Good, all right, so.
I would respectfully ask if you could hold it over. I haven't had a chance to complete reading it, so if you don't
Okay,
mind.
well, you're telling me you want me to give her all kind of kudos. She tells you this thing is ready, and then now you want to read it?
You just get,
All right, we'll hold it over for one
just
more
an
meeting.
opportunity to give her kudos at one more meeting.
Oh, okay. We have
I think it's easy up here.
I got to page like 15 and I couldn't go any further.
it's tough to plow through this. I can't believe you took this thing home
Did
and
you have a
read
glass
it.
of wine at the time?
was
That
at work.
might help you.
I was working, I couldn't.
I think it'd take more than a couple of bottles of wine to get through this, but,
Kevin wants to hold it over too.
all right, well, that's fine.
You can throw me under the bus, sure, that's fine.
That's no problem. Sue, you can take it home and read it again if you'd like. Solar farm request for a refund. We have a request for a refund and a memo from Robert McCarthy, Director of Codes. I'm requesting the town board act favorably on a request from New York State Solar Farm to refund the building permit fees associated with Mr. Reginald Poe's permit to install a roof-mounted photovoltaic solar electric system. Excuse me, at his dwelling. Maybe I had too much wine. I recommend that the monies for the permit and certificate of occupancy, less $75 for application fee, be refunded. The total refund amount would be $254. So at this time, I would make a motion that we approve the request from the Director of Codes, Mr. McCarthy, and refund an amount of $254 to solar farm. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to add one item to my agenda, having to do with the water system for the town, Patterson Town Hall. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we've been notified by the health department that once again we have issues with our water in the town hall. And we have a recommendation from Paul Fava, our maintenance and buildings and ground supervisor,
Guru.
to put a ultraviolet system on the town hall water supply. And he is recommending that we use Old Faithful pump
Right.
for amount not to exceed $4,182, which will then get us back into compliance with the county. So at this time, I'd like to make a motion that we approve a request of Mr. Fava to use Old Faithful pumps and install a UV system on the town hall water supply for an amount not to exceed $4,182. So moved.
Second, discussion?
All in favor?
Discussion?
Discussion?
Just quickly, do we also provide water to the court, or is that a separate?
The court has, yes, we do that. The one well provides water to
both
buildings, right?
Correct.
And they have their own separate UV and filtration system over there.
RO system plus UV.
Yes.
Okay.
So they're already set.
At the point,
We don't have
there's no way we
either.
can use both.
Not the way
For
it's
both.
set up.
Okay.
They're two totally separate
Okay, that's
systems.
fine.
So we would have to add the UV here. All right.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Good. All right. Anybody have any other business?
I have one item. Who else?
Well, do we want to go left to right or right to left? You guys tell me.
All right, well, I'll do, I know in this budget, we did not include any funds for consideration or revision of the master plan, largely because of our budget constraints, but sort of related to our budget next year and also the meeting schedule, it seems to me possibly a precursor to that might be having, and I think we had one several years ago, a joint meeting between the planning board, the zoning board, and the town board, that maybe we should put on our schedule earlier than later in the year, a time where we're going to have a joint meeting with those two boards to discuss specifically the master plan and potentially what our needs are, what we should potentially budget for going forward. Because, I mean, we keep kicking the can down the street. It's at some point we have to borrow a term that you like to use. So.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, there is money, a substantial amount of money in contingency, so, and we still do have a fairly substantial fund balance, so if a request for a modest amount of money were to be made, I don't think it would be impossible to find some seed money to get started.
Right.
So.
Okay, thank you.
It's doable. Charles?
I think my next item is maybe for Pete, or the safety committee, both. A resident commented to me that on Route 164 by the one-lane bridges, you know, there's adequate signage, etc. But it's interesting that I guess 164 goes east-west, am I right? Okay. If you're going east and you start up by the old town hall and you hit that first bridge, there's a flashing light. But there's none coming in the opposite direction, a flashing light, and there's none on the second bridge in either direction. And maybe it's your contacts in the county or the sheriff's office or somebody, if they could look into that. I went back and forth a couple of times. I said, yeah, you know, there's enough signs, and that's good. But it's just, when you think about it, it is a little strange that there's one flashing light.
We actually did look at that problem, the bridge. I went out there personally with Rich Dillman from the DOT and a representative from the County Highway Department. We actually sat out there and watched the traffic, and And they determined that with all the signage and everything, the way it's set up, the only thing they said that one thing they did do is refresh the signage. Some of the signage was kind of worn down and covered with some vegetation. They cleared the vegetation and put up new signage or refreshed the signage. They determined that nothing else should be done at this time. They pulled up stats, motor vehicle traffic stats for the last like 5 years, and there were no motor vehicle crashes in that area with the cause of the bridge there. So that's what they look at.
Right.
I brought it to attention because I think it looks like a dangerous intersection or dangerous
Right.
throughway there. But you have to look at the statistics too. If people aren't crashing, then they're not going to put money into.
They don't record near misses.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but, all right. It's just like when this person mentioned it to me and then looking at it, I was like, that's kind of weird that, it is just the one.
Yeah.
Is there any reason, would stop signs there make it worse, make it better, have no impact? Because, I mean, to me, the issue is you come around that corner, everybody's like, oh, no one's coming, and then everybody slams on the brakes.
Right. I actually, that's what I suggested, stop signs, but they said that it would make it worse because people aren't used to them and they'd stop and it would cause rear-end collisions.
Yeah. Get the classic rolling stop too, and then,
Yeah, people aren't crashing, so that's what they look at.
Yeah.
I thought there was a fatal motorcycle accident in that area.
Not at the bridge.
Not at the bridge.
It had nothing to do with the bridges, it had to do with excessive speed.
Oh.
And, no, I actually, the one thing I like about the bridges is it's sort of advanced citizenship. You have to slow down, you have to let the other person go through, everybody has to come to some sort of an agreement who goes first, and it's probably one of the most effective ways of slowing people down that I could think of on that road.
I actually learned you actually can fit 2 cars in there.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, I've had that happen a couple of times.
Yes, you can. Very tightly, but you can do it. Because I've had the same experience. All right, well, if there are no other...
I have one thing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Kind of ties in a little bit with this. It's in reference to on Route 311, the railroad overpass on 311, which is great because it prevents commercial traffic going through. But a couple of residents brought it to my attention. I looked at it today. I go by through there pretty much every day. The retaining wall, the rock retaining wall on each side of the tracks looks like it's crumbling down. Some of them are barely hanging on, and so who owns that property? And is there anything? Can somebody look at that?
Yeah.
Well, one of the trestles I think came down. Didn't a portion of that come down and had to be removed?
Well, there was some parts of it, but the one bridge got hit and they reset it because it almost got knocked off. But yeah, it's in tough shape. But we certainly will. I have no problem, letting Metro North, because I see Metro North or Conrail, because they don't own what's under the tracks anymore. So when we do something under the crossings, we don't have to talk to Conrail anymore.
As far as I know, Conrad's out of it all.
Happy day.
It's actually more on the sides of the tracks.
Yeah, no,
Those
I
retaining
will
walls.
certainly, now that we have a very good working relationship with Jeff Hamill, well, I'll certainly have no problem reaching out to him and find out who would be the appropriate individual to talk to. But at no point do we really want him taking that bridge down.
No.
Wasn't that going to be the bikeway eventually?
It was supposed to be, but from what I understand, the county, in the prior administration, not Mary Ellen Odell, mismanaged the grant to the point where they didn't act on it, and then it went away. But I don't know that Patterson's going to get their portion of the bikeway anytime soon. Hey, that's it?
That's it for me.
Okay, well then we'll open it up to our favorite part of the evening. Public recognition. Is there any member of the public that would like to be recognized at this time?
Sorry, gentlemen, this came from me, so I'll take one and pass it down. So as you're all aware, Senator Ball was gracious enough to secure a $50,000 grant. Remember, Charlie, we talked about this? $50,000 grant for Putnam Lake. Initially, it came in as $50,000 for a carp gate. There was some back and forth about whether it was appropriate to go forward with the carp gate. At the time, it was decided not to. Mr. Cook was good enough to go work with Greg Ball's office to get the grant changed around to other amenities for the Putnam Lake area, including equipment and a study. And I actually have all that paperwork to be filed up with DASNY showing that the grant is for the, revised items, the equipment and the wall and some other improvements over there. And I filed all the paperwork on the grant with DASNY, who gave me a call this week and said, we don't have anything on that grant. We have everything for a carp gate. So we can go forward with the carp gate, or we can try to, get it again through Senate Finance for the alternate plan. Problem is, Mr. Ball is going to be gone in 2 months, and we're not going to have that support anymore. And the new people coming in, that may delay it. So, I did talk to Charlie about this early in the week, and I did reach out to Pat Ploger and the other members of the Park Advisory Board. And Pat was good enough to get back to me, but not till late today, that the Park Advisory Board was okay with switching it back to the carp gate. So my recommendation to the board, being as it's in their budget anyway, they do want to go forward with it. Hopefully, we're going to get some support from the DEC, is to, not try to get this grant switched back to the equipment because of the timing issue, but to go forward with the carp gate, secure that through DASNY, and then if everybody decides again they don't want to go forward with the carp gate, or DEC doesn't approve it, a significant amount of time will have passed so that our new senator, whoever he may be, will then be in Albany and can help us out to maybe change this thing around. First step in doing that with the carp gate would to be circulate our notice of intent for lead agency. Thoughts?
I'm not kissing the carp when they come.
Nobody's going to ask you to kiss the carp.
I'll leave that to Kathy Dart.
And, well, whatever you'd like to do.
I think if the carp gate is a sure thing and the advisory board feels that they want to maybe look into that instead of rolling the dice to see if we can change it to the other equipment, I think maybe we should just go along with the carp gate. I mean, we never ruled out the carp gate. We just said, well, if we decide not to do, we don't really know what we're doing with the carp gate yet, and so why put the money to something we didn't know what we were going to do? But if they want to do it, if they want to go ahead with the carp gate, then.
Have we reached out to Senator Ball's office to see if there's something that can be changed quickly? I'm assuming nothing can be changed quickly.
I have all the paperwork from Senator Ball's office saying it was changed.
Right.
So they've already done what they can. The problem is, according to DASNY, it never went through Senate Finance, which is a long process, as Mr. Griffin will tell you. And that's my concern, is trying to get everything filed and secured before December 31st. That,
Right.
I mean.
And then it's still not guaranteed, though, right? If they have to approve it to be taken away from the carp gate and put towards other. They might not, right?
Right now, DASNY has all the paperwork for us to receive $50,000 for a carp gate, and I can push that forward. And then if we don't get the carp gate, I could try to get that changed. If everybody is in agreement that they would rather go for the equipment and the study and the other half, then I can see if I can get that pushed through, equally as well. But I'm not confident that that can be done in the 2 months that I have left to get it back through Senate Finance if it hasn't been already vetted through there. Now, DASNY already has all the paperwork for that grant. So if they go back to Senate Finance and find out that, they were in error, and I've already had this conversation with the girl up at DASNY, they can just push that grant forward and we're fine. But again, right now, they're telling me the only thing we can get the $50,000 for is for the carp gate.
Sounds like a scandal, right? Carp gate.
Well, you tell me how the State Dormitory Authority would have anything to do with the carp gate, but I'm not even, that's...
Because they do the administration for the member items out of the...
I understand that part of it, it's just...
Do you know how much we're paying for room and board at SUNY? DASNY is a cash cow for New York State. Are you kidding me?
Now, is that 50,000 going to cover, pretty much cover the carp gate, or is it going to be?
The estimated cost right now in the carp gate, and it's a very preliminary cost, is $65,000.
And we're satisfied that the design that we sent up there 4 or 5 years ago is still workable?
They had no issue with the design. It's similar to one that got approved down in the town of Southeast. Their issue was, at the time, did the volume of weeds in the lake warrant putting carp in the lake? That was their issue, which is why they requested an additional weed study.
Right.
That we shall have by November, and I've talked with the Park Advisory Board, and I'm going to immediately turn around and, once we get the weed study, resubmit for the carp.
Okay. Charles?
I'm fine.
You want to do the deed?
All right.
You make a motion to add an item to the agenda?
I'll make a motion to add one item to tonight's agenda. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And I will make the motion for the town board to approve Carp Gate project seeker lead agency notice. Let me think of that. Whereas the town board wishes to conduct a coordinated environmental review of the project, and the town board resolves that they authorizes and directs the town supervisor to circulate notice of the town's intent to all other involved agencies, etc., etc. So moved.
Second. Well done.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? There being no further business and no further public recognition, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there all in favor?
Aye.
Everybody, please be careful getting home. The roads are still wet, a lot of leaves down, no accidents.
Thank you for coming.
We had a tragedy here in town a couple of days ago. We don't want any more.
What's that?